The warning, the galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. At the edge of the Orion Arm, the Varex Council gathered inside their shining glass chamber. The stars above their world shimmered like frozen eyes, watching them in silence. Something was wrong. Something ancient. Ambassador Salar, a tall Varex with silver skin and glowing eyes, stood before the others. He placed a holographic cube on the table. It flickered to life, showing a broken signal. Human letters, half faded, repeating the same line again and again. "This is Earth Command. Humanity answers in light." The room went completely silent. Councillor Vera leaned forward, her voice shaking. "That language? It's human," Sla nodded slowly. "Yes." The signal was found coming from the old human colonies near the Perseus Rift. Worlds that have been dead for 3,000 years. A wave of fear spread through the chamber. Everyone knew the stories, the warnings their ancestors had left behind. If the humans ever return, run. No one remembered where the warning came from or why it existed. They only knew that the humans were gone, their cities turned to dust, their worlds silent. But now, their voice had returned. Outside, storms raged across the skies of Varex Prime. Lightning flashed across the towers as Silar walked through the empty halls of the embassy. The signal kept repeating inside his wrist communicator. "Humanity answers in light." He didn't understand it. Was it a threat? A message? A trap? He walked to the observation deck, looking at the stars. For the first time in his life, they felt cold. Behind him, his assistant, a young scientist named Kyle, approached nervously. "Sir, we received more data from the relay station. The human signal is spreading." Slar turned sharply. "Spreading? How?" Kyle swallowed. "It's jumping from system to system. Every time we try to block it, it copies itself through subspace. It's like it wants to be heard." Slar frowned. "Or it wants to find someone." The scientist looked scared. "Our people say the humans were dangerous, that they destroyed entire star clusters in the war before they vanished." Slar nodded. "Yes, but they also built peace treaties. They helped smaller worlds grow. They were not monsters." Kyle lowered his voice. "Then why did the ancients warn us to run?" Silar had no answer. He only looked again at the stars, and for the first time, felt like they were staring back. Hours later, the Varex High Council called an emergency meeting. Reports from other races arrived one by one. Strange lights seen near dead human systems, space stations losing power, shadows moving between the stars. One report stood out. A mining ship near the old colony of Eden 4 had gone silent. Before its signal died, it sent one final transmission, a short video feed. The chamber went dark as the footage began to play. The view showed a silent, empty space field. Then a shape appeared, sleek, black and massive. A ship, but not like any they had seen before. Its surface shimmered with blue fire. Its engines left no heat signature. And then a voice, calm, human, deep. "This is Captain Aiden Ward of the Terran Vanguard. Do not be afraid. We have returned." The feed cut to static. Gasps filled the room. Councillor Vera stood up, panic in her voice. "They're back. The humans are back." Another councillor slammed his fist on the table. "We must prepare our fleets. If they came once, they will come again." Sla raised a hand to calm them. "Enough. We don't know what they want. Maybe this is not an attack. Maybe they are answering something we cannot see." The council stared at him in disbelief. "You defend them? After all the destruction they caused?" Silar looked down. "I defend the truth, and right now we don't know it." That night, as the council chamber went dark, Silar stood alone by the viewing glass. He replayed the human voice again and again. "Do not be afraid. We have returned." He thought about the ancient warning, if humans ever return, run. But something about the voice felt different. It didn't sound angry. It sounded tired, like someone who had seen too much darkness. Suddenly, alarms blared across the city. Red lights flashed. The ground trembled beneath Silar's feet. Kyle ran into the room, gasping for air. "Sir, a signal!" "It's not from the humans. It's from the outer colonies." Slar grabbed his communicator. "What is it?" Gale's face turned pale. "They're under attack. Something is eating the stars." The holomap on the wall flickered to life, systems disappearing one by one, lights fading like dying candles. Slar's voice was low, full of dread. "How many worlds lost?" Kale whispered. 6. "No, 7. All gone." Slar's eyes widened. "Not destroyed?" Kale shook his head. "No, just gone." The counselors began shouting orders through the comms, calling for ships, weapons, fleets. But deep inside, Slar knew this wasn't something they could fight. He looked back at the message still looping on the screen. "Humanity answers in light." His heart pounded as realization struck him. Maybe the humans weren't coming for the Varex. Maybe they were coming because of the same thing. The same darkness. Far above the Varex homeworld, a small black ship drifted silently among the stars. Its hull glowed with the soft blue symbols of old Earth. Inside, a single human voice whispered into the darkness. "This is Captain Aiden Ward, Terran Vanguard. We received your distress call. Hold your position. We're coming." And with a flash of light, the human ship vanished into the void. The silent ship. The skies above Varex Prime burned red. Every sensor across the planet pointed toward the edge of the system, where a single dark object drifted toward them. Slow, silent, and impossible to scan. The command center was chaos. Dozens of alien officers shouted, their voices overlapping. "No life readings. No power source detected. It's not broadcasting. It's completely dark." Ambassador Salar stood in the center of the bridge, watching the massive black silhouette appear on the holographic display. It was unlike any ship they had ever seen. Smooth, seamless, like it was carved from a single piece of metal. The captain of the defense fleet shouted, "Order the orbital cannons to aim. If it crosses the defense line, we fire." Slar hesitated. "Wait, we don't know what it is yet." The captain glared at him. "We do know, Ambassador. It's human." A silence fell across the command deck. Even saying the word human made the air feel heavier. Sela took a deep breath. "Then let us see what kind of human has returned." In orbit, hundreds of Varex ships formed a defensive wall. Their energy weapons glowed blue, aimed directly at the black craft that approached with slow, steady grace. Then suddenly, the alien ship's systems flickered. Lights dimmed. Sensors failed. "We're losing power. Something's interfering with our systems." The alien fleet drifted helplessly in space. The dark ship stopped just short of their front line, hanging perfectly still. Then, without warning, a voice spoke, not over radio but inside their minds. "This is Captain Aiden Ward, Terran Vanguard." The voice was calm, deep and filled with a strange sadness. "We received your distress call. You are not alone." Back on the planet, the command room erupted with panic. "He's speaking directly into our neural links. How is that possible?" Slar raised a hand. "Silence!" He stepped forward toward the holographic console and activated the communication line. "This is Ambassador Salar of the Varex Council. Identify yourself, human." The response came instantly. "Captain Aiden Ward, Terran Vanguard, Recon Fleet Delta 1. Slar swallowed hard. "Humanity vanished 3,000 years ago. What are you doing here?" A brief pause. Then the human voice answered softly, "Finishing what we started." The room went still. Hours later, Salar stood inside the docking bay of the orbital station, watching as the human ship descended like a shadow. It made no sound as it landed, no engine noise, no air displacement, just silence. When the ramp opened, a single figure stepped out. Captain Aiden Ward. He was tall, dressed in a black suit of flexible armor that shimmered faintly under the lights. His eyes were bright gray, calm and ancient, the kind of eyes that had seen things no one should see. The guards raised their weapons, but Salar motioned them to lower them. He stepped forward slowly. "You came alone?" Aiden nodded. "For now." Slar studied him. "Why return now? Why send your message? Humanity answers in light. What does it mean?" Aiden looked past him, out toward the stars visible through the station's glass walls. "It means the dark is coming again." The two walked through the corridor toward the council chamber. Aiden's boots made no sound on the floor. He seemed more like a ghost than a man. "Our history tells us your kind were dangerous," Slar said carefully. "Unpredictable, violent, Aiden smiled faintly. They're not wrong, Slar frowned. Then why should we trust you now? The human stopped walking and looked at him directly. Because you called for help, and humanity always answers. In the council chamber, dozens of alien leaders faced Aiden with suspicion and fear. Councillor Vera spoke first. We have not called for help. You are trespassing in Varek's space. Aiden tilted his head. Then who sent the signal? Vera frowned. What signal? Aiden raised a small device. It projected a hologram of glowing coordinates, star systems forming a pattern across the galaxy. Your outer colonies. Every single one sent a pulse message using ancient human code. We thought you knew. Slar's eyes widened. That's impossible. We haven't used human code for centuries. Aiden's expression darkened. Someone or something used it anyway, and now those colonies are gone. He waved his hand, and the hologram shifted to show the same systems, now black voids where stars once shone. Gasps filled the room. Gone? Destroyed? Aiden shook his head. No. Consumed. The council chamber fell silent. We fought them once before. Aiden continued. We called them the Hollow Swarm, machines born from darkness. They eat light, matter, and memory. When they come, stars die. The aliens stared in horror. Salar spoke slowly. And you defeated them before? Aiden nodded. At a cost. Humanity vanished so others could live. We thought the swarm was gone forever. We were wrong. The Queen of the Varek's Council stood, her voice trembling. And now you've brought them back. Aiden looked at her with calm sadness. No, they're already here, and they're coming for all of us. Suddenly alarms blared across the chamber. An officer burst through the doors, gasping. Council! The outer defense line, it's gone. Entire ships disappearing without trace. Slar turned to Aiden. Is it them? The human's eyes glowed faintly silver. Yes, the Queen shouted. Then fight, human. Use your weapons. Aiden shook his head. You don't understand. You can't fight darkness with weapons. He walked toward the glass wall, staring at the blackness spreading across the stars. You fight it with light. And as he spoke, the dark ship in orbit began to glow. Blue symbols flaring to life across its hull. The lights grew brighter until the entire sky above Varek's Prime burned with a strange golden fire. Salar shielded his eyes. What are you doing? Aiden's voice was calm, calling the others. Far across the galaxy, hundreds of sleeping beacons, ancient human outposts buried under forgotten worlds, began to flicker back to life. Each one sent the same message echoing through the stars. Humanity answers in light. The shadows of old Earth, the darkness moved like smoke across the stars. Varek's Prime's night sky, once bright and full of constellations, now looked sick. Patches of black spreading through space, eating light like ink swallowing water. From the orbital station, Captain Aiden Ward watched it in silence. The glowing marks on his ship pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Ambassador Slar stood beside him. How long before it reaches us? Aiden's eyes stayed on the void. Days, maybe hours. Depends how hungry they are this time. Slar's throat tightened. You say this happened before, long ago, where? Aiden's voice grew distant, almost cold. Earth. A hush fell in the command room. Even the word Earth carried a strange weight, a name spoken only in stories and old warnings. The birthplace of humanity, lost for 3,000 years, Slar frowned. But Earth is gone. Our records say your world was destroyed. Aiden turned toward him slowly. That's what they wanted you to believe. He walked to the holotable and activated a projection. A planet appeared. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land. But then the image shifted, showing the same world broken, burned, and split in half. That's what they left behind, Aiden said quietly. The surface was ash, but underneath, we built something else. Slar's eyes widened. You mean Earth still exists? Aiden nodded. Not as you knew it, not as a planet, as a weapon. The council chamber filled with whispers. The alien leader stared at Aiden in disbelief. A weapon? Against what? Against the swarm, Aiden replied. We knew they would return. So, we buried something deep under the planet's core. Something that could end them. Or end everything. Slar's voice was barely a whisper. And now you mean to use it again? Aiden's expression hardened. If I have to. Outside, the black fog began to reach the system's outer moons. Massive energy readings spiked across the scanners. The swarm had arrived. The ships guarding the border vanished one by one. Not destroyed, not exploded, simply gone. Their light, their signals, erased as if they had never existed. "They're eating the stars themselves," Slar whispered. "How do you fight something like that?" Aiden's voice was steady. "With memory," Slar frowned. "Memory?" Aiden turned to face him. "The swarm doesn't just eat matter. It eats history, thought, emotion. It feeds on what we are. But there's one thing it can't touch." He placed his hand on his chest. Hope. The station shook violently. Alarms blared. An officer shouted, "The swarm is here!" It's surrounding the planet. Through the glass windows, they saw it, a massive black wave creeping toward the atmosphere, crawling like liquid shadow. Varex Prime's orbital cannons fired, but the beams vanished inside the dark mist. No explosions, no sound. The Queen of the Varex Council shouted, "Do something, human. If you have a plan, act now." Aiden nodded once. "I'm going back to Earth." Solar's eyes widened. "That's suicide. No one has found Earth in millennia." Aiden's voice was calm, but his eyes burned with purpose. "I never lost it. I know the way." He turned toward his ship. "Prepare your fastest vessel. If you want to live, come with me." Moments later, 2 ships launched from orbit, the silent black human craft and a silver Varex escort. As they jumped into warp, the black mist swallowed the planet behind them. Within seconds, Varex Prime was gone. Slar sat in stunned silence inside the cockpit, staring out at the endless tunnel of light. All those lives. Gone. Aiden didn't look back. "They're not gone. They're waiting to be remembered." Slar frowned. "What does that mean?" Aiden finally turned toward him. "The swarm erases, but memory can restore. When we fought them before, we found a way to fight back. Not with weapons, but with our minds. Our souls." "You mean your people sacrificed themselves?" Aiden nodded slowly. "We became the light. Hours later, they dropped out of warp. Before them hung a dark, dead world, cracked continents, frozen oceans, silent skies." "Earth," Slar whispered. Aiden smiled sadly. "Home." They descended through the broken clouds. The ruins of cities stretched across the surface. Silent skeletons of metal and stone. At the center of the planet, a giant scar cut across the land like an open wound. At its heart stood a single black spire, taller than mountains, glowing faintly red. "What is that?" Slar asked. "The Ark," Aiden replied. "The last creation of humanity." They landed near the base of the spire. The air was cold and thin, filled with a faint hum. Inside the structure, walls of light pulsed slowly, showing glimpses of faces, voices, memories, billions of human lives stored in glowing crystal. Slar looked around in awe. "They're all here." Aiden nodded. "Every man, woman, and child who fought the swarm. We uploaded them before the end. They became part of the Ark, humanity's memory." Slar's voice shook. "Then they're alive." Aiden looked up at the glowing walls. "In a way." He placed his hand on the control console. The walls brightened. A voice echoed through the chamber. Soft, human, familiar. "Captain Ward, welcome home." Aiden closed his eyes. "It's time, old friend." The ground trembled. The spire's glow intensified, spreading across the planet. Ancient systems awakened after thousands of years. Slar stumbled back. "What are you doing?" Aiden's voice was calm, calling the Ark to life. Outside, beams of light shot from Earth into space, cutting through the blackness. The swarm hesitated, twisting and shrieking. "They remember us now," Aiden whispered. "And they're afraid." The planet's surface began to crack. Energy surged through the crust, building towards something massive. Slar shouted, "You'll destroy the planet." Aiden's eyes glowed white. Earth was never meant to survive. It was meant to ignite. And with that, the planet's core flared like a newborn sun, a sphere of blinding light tearing through the darkness. The swarm screamed and vanished, burned away by the force of memory and light combined. Slar shielded his face, the brightness fading around him. When he looked again, Aiden was gone. Only his voice remained, echoing through the ship's comms. "Tell them. Humanity still answers. The return of the light." The explosion of Earth was seen across the galaxy. For a few seconds, every world, every moon, every ship, even those hidden deep in the void, saw a flash brighter than 1,000 suns. Then silence. When the light faded, Earth was gone. In its place burned a single glowing sphere, not a planet anymore, but something alive. Ambassador Salar watched from orbit, speechless. The remains of his ship drifted close to what used to be Earth. The scanners showed impossible readings, gravity twisting, time folding, energy rising far beyond known physics. "It's not a planet anymore," he whispered. "It's a heart." The AI voice from the control deck replied softly, "Correction, the Ark is active. Human consciousness network online." Slar stared at the glowing sphere. "Aiden, what did you do?" Far away, across the galactic rim, the blackness, the swarm, began to writhe. Its endless waves paused, twisted, and then screamed. It was pain. For the first time in eternity, the swarm felt pain. From the core of the new light, streams of golden energy shot across the stars, each beam finding an ancient human beacon buried under forgotten worlds. Those beacons awakened one by one. Old bases, lost colonies, derelict ships drifting in silence, each flared to life with the same message: humanity answers in light. On the Varex refugee ship, survivors from the destroyed planet watched the golden rays streaking through the void. A young soldier pointed out the window. "It's beautiful. But what is it?" Salar stood quietly. His eyes reflected the light. "It's them, the humans," the soldier frowned. "But they're gone." Salar shook his head slowly. "No, they were never gone. They were waiting. Inside the human ark. Within that glowing sphere that had once been Earth, Captain Aiden Ward stood on a platform surrounded by endless light. He was no longer made of flesh and bone. His body shimmered with the same golden energy as the ark itself. Millions of voices whispered around him, the voices of humanity. "We are ready," they said together. Aiden's voice echoed through the chamber. "Then let's finish what we started." The light spread outward like a living wave across dozens of systems. Human technology reactivated, old satellites, derelict cruisers, defense arrays long forgotten by time. They rose from the dust like ghosts waking from eternal sleep. Alien ships, fleeing from the swarm, suddenly found human vessels appearing beside them, not to conquer, but to defend. At the edge of one dying system, a single Varex cruiser was being pulled into darkness. Just before it vanished, a brilliant white beam sliced through the swarm, tearing it apart. The cruiser's captain shouted, "What is that?" A deep voice came through the comms. "Terran Vanguard, Sector 7, we heard your call." The aliens gasped. "Humans, you came back." "We never left," the voice replied. "Everywhere." The same story repeated. Worlds that thought humanity was a myth now saw them return, not as conquerors, not as soldiers, but as blazing lights in the dark. Yet even as hope spread, the swarm changed. The more light burned, the more violently it moved. It started merging into one vast entity, a storm of black fire. Its hunger grew desperate. In its core, something ancient awakened, a mind older than stars. The true leader of the swarm. It spoke for the first time in ages. Light cannot last forever. Back on the Varex flagship, Slar received the message from the Ark. A hologram of Aiden appeared before him, glowing and half-translucent. "Salar," Aiden said, "the swarm's heart has awoken. If it consumes the central light, the galaxy will fall again," Slar asked. "Then what can we do?" Aiden smiled faintly. "We hold the line. Humanity can't fight alone this time." Slar nodded firmly. "You will not stand alone. The Varex owe you our world and our lives." In the depths of the void, fleets began to gather. Varex cruisers, Draken warships, Kalen scouts. Even the silent mechanical Dareen joined the call. For the first time in history, the entire galaxy united under one signal, the light of humanity's ark. Hundreds of alien commanders looked at the glowing projection of a human symbol, a simple circle with a line of fire. Across it, a message appeared beneath. Operation Dawnlight, stand together or fall alone. In the Ark, Aiden stood at the core command ring, all around him. Holographic figures of human officers materialized, digital echoes of the past. They looked real, alive, and ready. "Sir," said one of them, "the swarm has entered Sector 9. "Then that's where we make our stand," Aiden replied. He looked up toward the bright expanse of stars. "We gave the galaxy peace once. Let's give it hope now." As the combined fleets moved into formation, the swarm's dark mass appeared on every radar, a shadow so huge it blocked light from nearby stars. Thousands of enemy shapes emerged, living black ships, twisting and screaming in the void. The Allied fleet shuddered at the sight. Salah whispered, "There are too many." Aiden's voice came through the comms, steady and clear. "That's what they said last time too." His ship, the glowing heart of the Ark, drifted forward alone, its light cutting through the darkness like a blade. "All units," Aiden said, "focus fire on my mark." He raised his hand. "For the living, for the lost, for humanity," and then he spoke the final command. "Ignite." The stars around them exploded into color. Every human beacon, every defense grid, every ship released its stored energy at once. A galaxy-wide storm of light. The darkness screamed. The swarm burned, and for a brief, shining moment, the galaxy saw what hope truly looked like. But the battle wasn't over. Deep within the dying void, the ancient swarm leader stirred, whispering one final promise. Light always fades. The last dawn, the galaxy burned with light. Every human beacon, every allied ship, every ancient defense grid fired together in a storm of brilliance. For a moment, the darkness screamed and then fell silent. But silence was never peace. At the edge of the galaxy, beyond the burning stars, a shadow moved. It was larger than anything ever seen, a storm that blotted out entire constellations. It was the heart of the swarm, a mind older than creation itself. A being that had survived the birth and death of galaxies. From within that shadow, a voice echoed across the universe, "You cannot kill what was born from the dark." Inside the Ark, Captain Aiden Ward stood at the command ring, his form glowing with golden light. His digital crew, the souls of humanity, surrounded him, ready for one last stand. He could feel the fear of the living species scattered across the stars. Billions of voices whispering prayers, hoping for light. Aiden closed his eyes. "We hear you." He opened his hand. The Ark responded, its glow rising brighter, hotter, until the entire human network pulsed as one. "We stand together," he said softly, "until the last dawn." The Galactic Alliance fleet formed a massive wall before the heart of the swarm. Thousands of alien ships floated side by side. Varex cruisers, Draken dreadnoughts, Kalin stormships, and in the center, glowing brighter than them all, was the Ark of Earth. Ambassador Salah stood on the bridge of his ship, staring at the impossible sight before him, a human leading an army of light against the endless dark. He whispered, "This is what they truly are." The swarm moved first. Black tendrils of energy lashed out, swallowing ships whole. Planetary shields collapsed like paper. Stars dimmed under its hunger. The Alliance fought back, beams of plasma and fire cutting through the dark. But for every shadow they destroyed, 10 more appeared. "We're losing ships." "Sector 9 is gone," Salah shouted. "Hold the line."
"As long as the light shines, we live."
His ship shook violently. A dark creature, massive as a moon, struck the hull, and then, from nowhere, a bright spear of light tore through it. The creature screamed and vanished. A voice came through the comms. "Vanguard support online." It was Aiden. Salah smiled through the chaos. "You're late, human." "Had to make an entrance," Aiden replied. Inside the Ark, Aiden activated the final protocol, Project Soulborn. The image of Earth appeared above the command ring, once broken, now burning with living light. "You wanted to consume our stars," Aiden said quietly. "Then let's see if you can swallow a sun." The Ark's core flared white-hot. Energy surged through every connected beacon across the galaxy. The light of 1,000 worlds combined, flowing into the ark like rivers into the sea. The swarm's voice screamed, "Fool, you will burn everything." Aiden's eyes glowed like twin stars. If the light must die, it will die fighting. The ark transformed. Its form stretched, expanded, becoming a colossal sphere of energy, bright enough to blind gods. Every human soul inside it sang in unison. A sound of courage, pain and hope echoing through space. The galaxy listened. Even the dying worlds, even the darkest corners of the void, felt the warmth of that song. The swarm surged forward, swallowing everything in its path. The stars went dark again. But before the darkness could reach the ark, Aiden raised his hand, and the light responded. A pulse burst outward, pure, golden, infinite. It was not just energy. It was memory. It was humanity, the laughter of children, the music of oceans, the dreams of explorers who looked up at the night sky and dared to reach it. All of it burst into the universe at once. The darkness screamed, writhing as the light tore through it. World by world, system by system, the swarm burned away, until nothing remained but silence. And light, the glow faded slowly. The battlefield was empty, quiet, peaceful. Only drifting ships and silent stars remained. Solar opened his eyes. The storm was gone. The void was clear. He whispered, "It's over." But then he looked at the center of the formation, where the ark had once been. It was gone. Only a single spark floated there, small and golden, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Slar's voice broke. "Aiden!" The spark shimmered, and a faint voice echoed through the comms. "We're still here." The spark rose higher, spreading threads of light across the sky, weaving a new constellation. It formed a single shape, a human hand reaching toward the stars. Centuries later, the galaxy remembered that day as the last dawn. The daylight defeated darkness. The Varex rebuilt their worlds. The Draken became protectors instead of warriors. And on every planet, children learned a new phrase, words carved in every starport, every ship, every monument. Humanity answers in light. Deep in the void, the last spark of the ark drifted quietly, glowing against the dark. Inside it, Aiden's voice whispered to the universe, "Where there is darkness, we will return." Because humanity never truly dies. The spark flared once more, a final heartbeat of golden fire, and vanished into the stars. The end.